Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be my spoiler-free movie review for Shazam! Fury of the Gods. This is a movie that I've been really excited for because I'm a huge fan of the first Shazam movie. It's one of my favorite DC movies of all time. I just really enjoyed that movie. I had a lot of fun with it, and I am glad to say I really enjoyed this one too. I was lucky enough to see it a week early at the Toronto premiere. Zachary Levi and Lucy Liu were there. It was a great time. We got free shirts, we got a free beanie too, which was nice, and then they gave us popcorn, a drink, a poster, and they gave us Skittles. Now, we're going to talk about Skittles later on in the video, because there's something that happened in this movie that involved my favorite candy of all time, but we'll save that for later, guys, when I talk about my negatives in the movie. For now, though, let's start off the movie review by talking about what this movie is even about. So, the Daughters of Atlas have escaped their imprisonment, and they want their powers back, and to do that, they need to hunt down the Shazam family and take them back. It's a simple story, and the motive is very simple for the villains, but I think it works. The villains are Helen Mirren as Hespera and Lucy Liu as Calypso. So guys, let's talk positives, then negatives. So my first positive that I have is the Shazam family. They have a really great dynamic in this movie, which I really enjoyed. Like, all of the characters have their time to shine. I think Zachary Levi did a great job as Shazam again. I'm a big fan of his portrayal. I know some people aren't, which is totally fine. That's your opinion. I think the common complaint is that it's just too goofy, but I think that will change if they get a third movie. I think they're going to slowly mature him throughout the films. Like, I don't think they wanted to make him like a super serious or really intelligent character right off the bat. I think they wanted to ease us into that, which is fine, and I totally understand the complaint of him being a little bit too goofy, but personally I like that portrayal. My favorite member of the Shazamly, though, has gotta be Mary Marvel, aka Marry Me Marvel. Oh my goodness. But yeah, guys, I really like the team dynamic between all of the characters. I think it works really well. It's almost like Magic Power Rangers, like all of them have different colors and everything, and I like the team dynamic overall, and I like the family dynamic between the kids and the parents too. I do wish the parents had a little bit more screen time in this movie, but the parts that they are in are actually really good. Some of the funniest moments in this movie involve the mom and the dad, and there's a really funny part with the foster dad where he's like, why does this house keep getting struck by lightning? And of course, that's because of the foster kids always powering up by saying Shazam. So yeah, overall, the whole family dynamic makes the movie feel really heartfelt and just really personal. My next positive is the comedy. I would say about 90% of it worked. My audience was constantly laughing, and I gotta say the jokes were actually pretty funny. The first movie, of course, was really funny too, so they obviously brought that over to the second one, but I would say the first movie, maybe like 70% of the comedy worked, but in this movie a little bit more. Like I said, about 90% of it landed. Now let's talk action, because in a superhero film that is definitely one of the most important parts, and I gotta say the action was good. It wasn't great. My favorite action scene in this movie was Shazam versus Calypso's dragon. There's some really cool slow-mo sequences, plus I just really love dragons, especially in IMAX. You really feel like a dragon is in the room, like everything is shaking because the sound is so much better in IMAX, and then the screen is bigger too. Like, it was just a really great experience. That was just my favorite bit of action in this movie, but you get a lot of it. Like, there is actually quite a bit of action in this movie. Another thing I want to say is the sound design was actually really good. Like, every time a character got hit, I was like, ooh, like you almost feel it. My next positive is the pacing. I thought it was really solid. I never really got bored. I was invested in the story, and I really liked that we hit the ground running in this movie because we already did the origin story in the first film, and because of that, this movie picks up with the Shazamly firing on all cylinders, which I thought was a nice change, and it really made the pacing just feel a little bit better because, you know, in origin movies, normally the first act can feel really slow, and I'm glad to say I think the pacing worked better in Shazam 2 than Shazam 1. Another positive I had with this movie is a major cameo. I know that technically shouldn't be like a major positive for a movie because a movie shouldn't be good just based off of like cameos, but it was just nice to see this cameo, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and it makes Shazam feel a little bit more connected to the other DC films. The only problem is we don't know if they're going to be connected in the near future with James Gunn's new DCU, but for this movie, I really like this cameo. It brought a bit of cohesiveness, and my audience loved it. Like, when this character showed up on screen, everybody was screaming. It was a really great time. So yeah, I think people are really gonna like this one. My next positive is costume design. I gotta say, I'm a big fan of the new costumes in Shazam 2. I know a lot of people said they don't like the lightning bolt and that they like the original suit a little bit better, but personally, I like this one. Like, the lightning bolt still glows and everything, but it's not always glowing like it was in the first Shazam movie, which I thought was just a little bit weird. Now, don't get me wrong, I love that first Shazam costume. I just think I like this one a little bit better because it's a little bit more modern. But overall in this film, like, costume design was on point. Everybody was looking good, and the Shazamly has some of the coolest costumes in all of DC Comics. Like, yes, it's a little bit simple, like a lightning bolt and a cape, but it looks badass. Now, my last positive before we dive into my negatives is basically just one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I'm not going to tell you, like, the context of it or anything, but when you're watching the film, wait for the Holding Out for a Hero song. It's going to happen near the beginning of the movie. You know that song from Shrek 2, like the I Need a Hero, where Fairy Godmother starts singing it, and it is just awesome. They bring that song over to Shazam 2, and it is just a great scene. I had a lot of fun with it. I know it's a little bit goofy, and some people might not like it, but personally, I really enjoyed that scene. Alright guys, now on to my negatives. Now I'm just gonna grab my bag of Skittles here because it involves Skittles. There is quite literally like a 1 or 2 minute Skittles ad in this movie. Like, it is very, very in your face. I was shocked when this happened. Like, it is literally a commercial in Shazam 2. It is crazy. Even the character with the Skittles says the tagline, "Taste the rainbow." I was like, no way, what is happening right now? Like, we've all seen product placement in a movie where it's kind of, you know, nonchalant, like the products in the background, or like maybe a character takes a drink of something and you see like the brand facing the camera. That I'm totally fine with, but this was literally a commercial. And oddly enough, I feel like slightly okay with it because, like I said at the beginning of the video, Skittles is my favorite candy. So I was like, how is this possibly in the movie right now? But then at the same time, I was like, damn, like, I love Skittles, so I started eating Skittles in the theater. It was just a really odd and jarring product placement in this superhero film. My next negative is the CGI on Calypso's dragon. It was not good. It just didn't look real. It looked kind of blurry. There just wasn't a lot of detail. Don't get me wrong though, like, some scenes the dragon actually looked really good, but I would say the majority of those scenes, especially in the daylight, just didn't look good. But overall, I would say the CGI throughout the film was good. It was just specifically that dragon for me that I was like, what is going on here? Which I thought was really weird because there was a whole bunch of other monsters in the third act and they all looked really good, but for whatever reason, Calypso's dragon just didn't look as real. Now let's talk about the villains because they were a bit of a negative. They're not like a major negative. I just thought they were a little bit one-dimensional. Like, I think Helen, Mirren, and Lucy Liu had a pretty solid performance. They didn't really have to do anything over the top. It was just like a basic villain performance, if you will. Like, they did what they needed to do. They were menacing. There's a couple really dark scenes involving them, which I was actually surprised with. The Daughters of Atlas killed 2 people, and I thought those deaths were actually really brutal, and I wasn't expecting that. But like I said, overall, they did come off a little bit one-dimensional. Like, they didn't really have a crazy story. It was like, our powers got stolen, we want them back, and we're gonna kill whoever we need to in order to get them. That's really it. There's not really much else to it. So I thought they were fine, but they definitely could have been better. Now, my next negative is the ending, and I think this is gonna be pretty controversial for a lot of people. They were going a certain direction, and then they just completely pivoted and went the other direction, which was really strange. I was thinking like, wow, this is a really bold and brave decision, and then as I was accepting that and let it all settle in, somebody played the reverse Uno card, and then everything changed again, and I was like, wait, what? And it made the movie feel like there wasn't really that much at stake because we're in the same spot that we were at the beginning of the film. Now, my last negative before we dive into my rating out of 10 is the romance between Freddy and Anthea. It just felt a little bit rushed, a little bit forced. I wish they had a little bit more time to kind of flesh it out and build up towards it. I understand it's like a little kid love story in high school, so it's not going to be this super complex story, but I wanted it to be a little bit more than, you know, young boy sees young girl, they see each other, and they instantly just have something going on and they like each other. Like, I wanted it to be a little bit more than that. There were some really good moments involving that romance, but like I said, I just wish they fleshed it out a little bit more because it did feel a little bit rushed. So guys, overall, I had a fantastic time watching this movie. It was really, really fun, and that's why I'm gonna give Shazam! Fury of the Gods a 7.5 out of 10. It's a really solid sequel, so definitely go check it out in theaters, and I think a lot of people are gonna be pleasantly surprised when they watch this movie because there's not really a lot of hype around it. Warner Brothers isn't really doing that much marketing-wise either, so not that many people even know that this movie's coming out, which is really unfortunate because I think this is actually a solid movie. I think I even saw a report saying that Shazam! Fury of the Gods is going to have the lowest box office opening weekend of all the DC movies, which is crazy to me because a lot of people really like that first Shazam movie, and I think this one is just as good. And I think a big part of that comes down to a lot of people wondering if Shazam is going to be a part of the new DCU or not. They're not going out and telling you yes or no, and I know that's preventing a lot of people from going to see this movie, but the director David F. Sandberg said on Twitter that people need to go see this movie to give Shazam a chance to be in the new DCU. Because if this movie absolutely flops in the theaters, there's pretty much like a 0% chance that Shazam is going to be carried over to the new DCU. Now obviously this could just be a tactic to sell more tickets, basically saying like go see the movie, but I definitely think there's a bit of truth in that. Like if James Gunn wants to make the new DCU successful, why would you bring a character that makes no money? You know what I mean? Like I totally understand the thinking behind bringing Shazam or not, but I do think a big part of that is how this movie's going to perform at the box office. So basically what I would say is if you're a big comic book fan or just a movie fan in general, I would say check this movie out and I think you'll be surprised. And I hope this movie has a major turnaround because the predictions right now are really, really low. So I hope when the first few people go see this movie, some good word of mouth just spreads everywhere and people go see this movie and it does well, and then Zachary Levi can play Shazam in the new DCU. That's what I hope for, but overall guys, I gotta say I really did enjoy this movie. It's a very solid sequel. Like I said, I like it just as much as the first movie. I don't think I like one more than the other. I think they're bang on equal. This movie is definitely bigger, but like I said, I really like that first movie, but I also really like this one. I can't choose which one I like more. So guys, if you have seen the movie, leave a comment down below of what you guys thought about it. Try to keep it spoiler free, of course, because it is a spoiler free review. Now I will be posting a spoiler review probably tomorrow or the next day, so stay tuned for that. I'm also going to be doing a post-credit scene breakdown because there are two big post-credit scenes for this movie, so stay tuned for that. But for now, this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe, but other than that, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.